Hello, Oracles. Sorry for the little delay there. I was actually checking on the charts and doing a little research on the RSI and some stuff, kind of finding some interesting data that is in there for the last couple of years. But anyway, looking at the stock today, up another 4%. What a great day. Huge gap up today. And that's kind of what kind of led me to looking at the charts. I'm going to bring it up here for you. I know I just started, so we'll let people get on here. Um, but I wanted to share with you guys because I was looking at the RSI, as I know monthly RSI was overbought for basically 2 years, from the end of 2019 till the end of 2022. The stock was overbought on a monthly basis, but on a daily basis, it never really reached overbought. It hit overbought. Let me get it up here for you and show you. So looking at the RSI here, it hit overbought January of 2021. And like going back, like we had some moments in 2020 that it was overbought, and this is on a daily basis. I hate it when it does that. Um, but looking at like the entire time from, like I said, basically end of 2019, except for the COVID dip, going all the way until the, basically January of 2022, is when it was overbought. But on the daily, it very rarely actually reached overbought. And so bringing that back to today, on the monthly, we're at 53.68. That's right in the middle. Looking at the weekly, we're at basically the same as well. And then on the daily, we are overbought, but the monthly's not. So what that means is, like I said before, we can get a cool off. We made this big gap. We'll most likely fill this gap next week with the uncertainty going into the FOMC meeting. But if this gap fills, that could be that cool off that we need to bring us down to the place where it's not overbought. And then we can run some more from there and push the monthly up higher till we get to that range. So just some little things that I'm putting together. Again, none of this is predictions for the future. It's a potential that could happen. Just some data that I'm looking at in the charts. But yeah, that's was just some interesting information that I had seen. And then we do have this little gap down here to 221.91. Again, as we talked about, gaps fill 9 out of 10 times. And if you start looking at these gaps here, we've got 235, 221, 160, 295. We go back and then we've got 140, 146 below that. It's a lot of gaps below us. So not to say we can't fill them, but I'm enjoying this run for sure. Absolutely loving this run. So I hope everybody had a good week this week. My week was up and down, but ended on a very good note. So pretty happy about that. And I got Yankee Stadium up behind me here because I'm going to the Yankee game with my son and my dad tomorrow night. So it's going to be a good time. Let's see what else we got going on. Stuff about Spain. We had more talks. When I was pointing out on Twitter today, these are the levels that we were at on the way down when everyone was freaking out about the fact that Elon's buying Twitter, Elon's selling stock. The reason the stock is coming down is because of all of these things. And it's like, are they really? Elon's tweets are pissing us off. And now we're at a point where Elon still owns Twitter. Elon now has Mary Barra hosting Twitter spaces with Elon. Like, do you need any more signs to say that he made the right decision? Even he agrees that he overpaid for it, obviously, and he didn't want to sell as much stock as he wanted to. It happens. People make mistakes. He is still human, we think. But either way, we're moving in the right direction, and it's been relatively quick. I mean, he's only owned it for what, 8 months now? Has it been 8 months? So like we're at that point where it's only been 8 months and he's already made these many changes. It's like, open your eyes. It was not Elon. Sure, maybe there was an over exaggeration, but it was more of the reaction to what Elon was doing versus what he was actually doing that caused the stock to go down. What's going on, Lou? So, truth be told, my dad, myself, and my son are all Yankees fans, and they are playing the Red Sox this weekend. But I'm still a huge baseball fan. So when we go back to the Red Sox coming back and from a 3-0 deficit in the ALCS and beating the Yankees, that was great baseball. Loved that, making history. So as much as I was a Yankees fan, hey, that was awesome to see. So very happy about that. But I hope they win tomorrow. It's actually the best seats I've ever had at the new Yankee Stadium. The old Yankee Stadium, I had some pretty stellar seats at times, but tomorrow will be the best seats I've ever had at the stadium. It's just so expensive. It's like no wonder the stadiums don't fill up anymore when you got to pay that much money to go watch a ball game. I don't know. To me, it's a lot of money for just that. I could get the same entertainment at home. Let's see what else we got in the news today. Anything else that is going on that's hot? I know we talked about the importance of, you know, GM coming on board with the North American charging, because between them and Ford coming on, there's really no other. I mean, there's like you've got the other big player, a couple other big players, but if those two are the biggest players and they're on board, it's just a matter of time before everyone else comes on board, and that's going to make the most sense for everyone to come on and do it. And that's Tesla leading the way, and Tesla is going to reap the benefits of it. They're going to collect billions of dollars in credits from the government for it, and everybody's just going that way. And then we're going to get to a point, especially looking at Ford and GM announcing that they're not going to be profitable in EVs until 2030. They're not going to have the money to invest in charging infrastructure. So they're going to utilize Tesla for the charging infrastructure. So Tesla is going to be making money from GM and Ford from utilizing their infrastructure. You go past that, what's going to end up happening next? What else are GM and Ford not going to be able to afford because they're not profitable on EVs when it comes to EVs? FSD. They're trying, but are they really going to get there? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But clearly, if they get to a point in 2025 when Tesla has this solved and they do not, and it's going to be a matter of, well, we either go with Tesla's FSD or we lose altogether, they're most likely going to be making that switch as well. And we may end up seeing GMs and Fords having Tesla FSD in them also. HK price target by 2023. So currently right now I have a price target at the end of the year of basically where we're at now, $247. I've had that all year long. I adjusted it slightly at the beginning of the year, but for the majority of the year, it's been 247. And I have held it at that price target because of the macro. Regardless of the fact that we're running awesomely right now, we've got a lot of great news coming up. It's still macro driven. Everything is still macro driven at the moment. And looking at the macro, I still believe that we are going to be getting a pullback at the end of this year, a significant one. So because of that, I think we have the possibility and potential of coming down significantly. But if we are on this run that we're on, that we could anticipate us running to, over $300, we run up to that level. On the way down, end of the year could be around that 247 level, but we may end up dropping significantly more after the end of the year. The first quarter of next year could be rough. Might not see a turnaround coming until Q2 or Q3 of 2024 if all of this plays out as I think, as a lot of other people think as well. If that's how it plays out, might not be until about Q2 or Q3 of next year. Again, coming into election time, because they're going to want, obviously they're going to want the market to look good. So they're going to do everything they can to make people happy going into election time to make sure that the Democrats can win or whatever they're going to do. So that's why I think that's when we're going to start seeing that turnaround coming, is at that point. So 247 for the end of this year, could dip further down. And I think that it would be at those points in Q1 or Q2 that we would hit those lows, fill that gap potentially down to 114. I know everybody thinks I'm crazy for saying it, but dude, look at last year. Last year we were at 313, could not break through 313, and we fell all the way to 100 within, a half a year. So if you tell me right now that we can't do it again, you're being ignorant, in my opinion. So you've got to at least have it on your radar as a possibility. So whether it's going to happen or not, don't know, but it's on my radar as a possibility. And then from there, I think if we do get that pullback, that will be the last pullback we see. And then we go into a true clean bull market. The economy will be recovered. We'll be able to come out of it. And it'll be one of those situations where we won't know that we're actually out of it till probably 6 months or so afterwards. But we've got the housing market that's going to come down. Unemployment's going to go up. There's going to be a lot of layoffs going on. Companies are going to end up going out of business. That's going to cause even more layoffs going on. That's going to spiral and domino effect into more foreclosures going on for houses because of people losing their jobs. Then you're going to have landlords end up losing their houses because they have people who can't pay rent. It's going to be this massive domino effect in the economy that happens. And like, I hate that it's going to happen, but it's kind of one of those things where it's almost necessary because it flushes the system out, kind of cleans out a lot of the dead weight. Unfortunately, people who, are in that situation, not to say that they're dead weight, but it's going to be very difficult on them. So there's going to be a lot of people going through some difficult times, but we'll get through it. People will land on their feet and we'll start to build a strong foundation again from there. That's my opinion on what I think is going to transpire over the next 12 months. We'll see if it plays out. I'm preparing myself for it, but I still do put in my money every single day into Tesla because I truly don't know. Maybe we don't end up getting that. Maybe the Fed somehow gives us this soft landing and we never get this recession and we never get a pullback and we just keep on going from here. And maybe we're in that bull market already right now. It's totally possible. So again, that is why I continue to put my money in. And today I hit, and with the market pulling back at the end of the day, which I anticipated with the way we've been running. Typically, when you see the market running like this, you get a Friday fade. Just people naturally taking some profits before the weekend, especially with next week. We've got CPI on Tuesday, PPI on Wednesday, FOMC Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to get the Fed coming out on Wednesday, giving us information from the FOMC meeting. Most likely right now, the market is pricing in a pause and the Fed coming out and stating that they do not anticipate any more rate hikes for the rest of the year, just as they said at the last FOMC meeting. So we'll see a lot of that going on most likely. And who knows how the market's going to react to that? Because it sounds like from that would be a good thing, but does the market already have that priced in? Again, those short-term swings are so hard to predict, but looking longer term, this thing is going to be absolutely amazing. And these prices we're buying at right now, I think are awesome. Even at 244, I think it's an awesome price. But for me personally, I'm still saving up some cash because I think that we're going to get some more awesome buying opportunities. One more opportunity at some stellar sub 200 prices. So I'm still buying, but I'll wait with some cash. And at that point, when we get down to those levels, obviously I've got to see how the market's doing, what's going on with the economy, how things are trending. But that's when I'm going to start dumping in more heavily because I think that will be the last time we hit the bottom. And it's not going to be a smooth sail right back up. It's not going to be like a V-shaped bounce, but you're going to notice that the best and the biggest players, all the stocks that you see right now, they're doing well. The typical players, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, Meta, these players here, Tesla, of course, obviously are going to be the strongest ones coming out of it. So pay attention right now to where the strongest movers are. NVIDIA is most likely going to be one. AMD is most likely going to be one. Right now, I am formulating my list of all the stocks that I want to get into when we get that pullback. So that's what I'm going to end up focusing on is what stocks are going to be, what companies are going to be doing the best when we get that massive pullback. If we get it, that's where I'm going to start deploying some of my cash. I want most of it in Tesla still, but to have those strong players and really come out of it strong, that's where I want to put my money. Because when I start buying in, I'm not going to try to time the bottom, but I'll DCA my way into them so that this way, as they come out of it, I can say, all right, who's doing the best, who's not. I can shift my money around, take some profits, and at that point, when you're in a bull market, it's like you almost can't lose, unless you pick loser companies that just aren't doing well, you can't lose. But if I can get in at a good lower end price, that really solidifies, we should be on, typically it's an 8 to 10 year bull run. If that all plays out, we could have basically a bull run from 2024 to 2032, 2035, and go from there. Let me see. And then we've got the Spain news. I haven't heard anything extra about Tesla building a gigafactory in Spain. So I'm waiting to hear more about that. I'm just going through Twitter right now, see if there's anything that I had missed. Why is this? There we go. Let's see. Um, and I was looking actually at my Model 3 here in Connecticut. What's awesome, if you guys haven't seen on, actually, I wonder if I can bring it up. If you guys haven't seen on the Tesla website, that when you bring it up, you can see all the discounts for the credits you can get for the federal government, for your state, and everything to see what the price actually would be for you. And let me see if I can bring that up for you guys on here. Tesla. All right, let's bring this up for you. We'll play with this together. Yep, Tesla up 25% since Nvidia went up. So definitely some of that AI thinking going into Tesla, which should be, because while Nvidia and a lot of these other players are doing AI when it comes to searching, Chat GPT, things like that, Tesla has that real world AI that's going into a machine or a robot that's going to be walking around. It's not just a think tank or a thinking machine, it's an actual functional machine. That is the huge difference. So, Dodger Blue Stever, I'm still trying to figure out why Elon made his 12-month tough time prediction. I just broke it down a little bit, but the tough time prediction, if you start looking at the big tech companies, they did a lot of layoffs. Sure, a lot of them did it because they saw what Elon did with Twitter. And if he was able to take Twitter and run it extremely lean and do what they did, they're going to try to do the same. I totally get it. Um, but when you start looking at what's actually going on in the full economy, the Fed still has a large amount of their balance sheet that they need to run off. The reason we saw a majority of the runoff last year was twofold. One, interest rates going up, and two, the Fed was running off their balance sheet. Less money supply, less money in the economy, that's less money in the market. Money coming out of the market obviously means the market's going to come down. The economy is going to be struggling because there's less money in the market, less money in the economy, less money going into people's pockets. This is how it goes. You start getting into earnings recessions. Those earning recessions start to play off into the market as well. And then because of all of that, and there's less money out there, only the companies who are going to be doing very well with their own balance sheets are going to be able to get through this. They're still going to be facing difficult times, but because of all of that, you're going to have companies like zombie companies. For those of you who don't know, a zombie company is a company who doesn't even have enough money coming in to pay off the interest on the loans that they have. Those companies will end up going under. There's going to be a lot of mergers, a lot of buyouts. These are the times where you end up seeing companies who have giant cash stockpiles like Tesla going out there and buying other companies that they're interested in because the valuations are so suppressed. They're like, we have the cash. We're going to buy you up and take you into our company and absorb you, and we're going to utilize you in the future. So you see a lot of that going on. That's why. And it's not like Elon's the only one. If you pay attention to a lot of other people out there, a lot of economists, a lot of even CEOs from other companies, they're bracing for this. That my company as well, talking to our owner, we're anticipating a difficult time coming up. Thinking about the fact that when you have the pause going on with interest rates, high interest rates alone are going to make it difficult for people to make large ticket purchases. So again, that's the housing market, that's vehicles, that's why, we're seeing the automotive market struggling with demand as it is. You see all of this going on across the board, and the Fed anticipates leaving interest rates high for at least 12 months. If they do that, and even when they pivot, it's not like they're going to pivot and drop it from 5% down to 2%. It's going to be like 5% down to 4.75%. So it's going to be very small, slow drops along the way. So it's still going to be maintaining high interest rates when it comes to the whole entire economy. That in itself means that companies aren't going to want to borrow money because it's going to be expensive to borrow money. It's going to be a massive struggle. That's really what it comes down to, is because interest rates are high, because there's less money going to be sloshing around in the economy, it's just going to be difficult for companies to get through. And doing that over a long, drawn out period of time is what's going to happen. Yeah, you're right, Jerry. Once Tesla gets into ride sharing, it's going to be major news. It will. And again, we'll get to a point where all the excitement we felt in 2020 and 2021 with all the positive news, and every time somebody came out positive, the stock just kept on escalating and pushing up. we're going to see that again. That will happen again, probably end of 2024 again. I think 2025 is the big year for it. But do you think that Cybertruck will be the next big catalyst? Honestly, I would say yes, except for the fact that we've been hearing so many things lately. Like we've got the GM partnership, the Ford partnership, and those are huge for the future. We haven't heard a lot about energy recently, so we may hear something about that. Maybe we hear about another gigafactory that comes out before then. We've got Q2 earnings that are going to be coming up. We may end up getting Q2 earnings before we end up getting the Cybertruck. Cybertruck delivery event at this point right now, based upon what Elon's been alluding to, probably won't happen until, I don't know, September, October timeframe. We'll probably hear about more specific date details at the Q2 earnings call. So Cybertruck is going to definitely be a catalyst. I just don't know if it's going to be the next big catalyst, which is crazy to think about, but yeah. Let me see. I think we saw the Cybertruck push us up to $200. Earnings our next catalyst. Yeah, unless we get some strange news in between, I think you're right, that we're going to see earnings is going to be the next big catalyst. And again, Peggy and I are going to be on here. We're going to be looking for some guests. So I'm going to reach out to Brian, see if he wants to come on, see if Vinny's going to be around. So we're looking for like 3 or 4 Tesla bulls to come on and really get excited about the earnings. We'll probably come on about a half an hour before the earnings drop, discuss what we think is going to happen, analyze the earnings, ride out to the earnings call. So it'll be like a 3 to 4 hour event for us. It's going to be awesome. I'm very much looking forward to it. So I'll keep you guys posted on any details on that. But yeah, I think it's going to happen. And then the timing of the Cybertruck coming out could be coming, when we hit the, beginning of the rough times. So the Cybertruck release coming out might actually not be a catalyst to push the stock up for more than a very short period of time. I think a lot of it just kind of comes out as could be just a short-term push, but then the macro I think is still going to drive us. I think it's going to take until late 2024 for the macro to finally stop really kind of controlling where the market and Tesla go. Oh, I'm always curious. Definitely curious all the time. I'm always asking questions. This is a great point too, Lou. The data that Tesla gathers from Ford and GM are priceless. That's very true. Thinking about them going to be using the chargers, that's going to be huge. They're going to be able to see, is it a Tesla that's using the charger? Is it GM? Is it Ford? And again, from Elon's perspective, he's in this for the EV revolution. He's in this for the actual mission, and the mission is not to make money. Obviously, making money makes everything easier to continue the mission going forward, but the actual mission is to change the world to renewable, sustainable energy. And the more players who come in to help that out, the faster it's going to happen. On Tesla website, can one reserve a semi even not knowing price yet? That's actually a great question. No, I was bringing up the website here. Let me pop it up and we will take a look together at this. I don't think so because I think at least unless it's on a different website, like looking at it here, make sure you guys can see this. There we go. Drop this out. So looking at this Model 3, Model Y, S, X, solar panels, solar roof, accessories. Yeah, it's not on here. So unless it's on a different website, like looking at here, the Model 3. So they're like on their website, they're now putting a lot more of the tax credit on here. But if you go and put in potential savings, like you'll see 25,690 in my area. Going to learn more, it gives you this information. But if you go all the way to the bottom and we click over to continue and we go to loan, let's see, where was the details that I had seen? Yep, details right here. So qualifies for the 7,500 and it tells you all the details here. So if you want to ever see it, you can see all of the details. And does it tell it in here? I did it on my phone. I wonder. Let me see how I can get it back up here. Because there was one that broke down what I get for in state as well. and it did it on my phone, but I do not know how I was able to see it. Ah, here it is. Much better. So you can customize it out. Like, let's say I wanted to trade in my car and put a down payment just to make it easy, like 15 grand. So I'm looking at 438, but after potential savings, 236. Scroll over, see your gas savings and then incentives. So for me in Connecticut, I get a $2,250 Connecticut incentive on top of the $7,500 incentive as well. So, that's like $10,000 off of the vehicle. So, when people say that Teslas are not affordable, it's like they really are. And this kind of like opened my eyes. And even like looking at the Model Y, all of them, the Model Y are all-wheel drive. And that was a big factor for me was I wanted to make sure I had all-wheel drive. Maybe I don't need the range. So maybe I go with a regular base Model Y. And if I do this, I put in the loan, I'm like, all right, so it's going to cost me 731 a month. But let's say I put my $15,000 down. 15,000. That's now going to bring me to 558 a month, 339 a month after all of my potential savings, which for the Model Y, same thing, another 2250 off from the Connecticut incentive. So, you know, uh, looking at the actual price here, let me see if they say the total overall price of it. Where does it go back here? Come on. So potential savings, I mean, Model Y, 31,740. 31, that's under $32,000 for the Model Y. Yeah. So that's a great deal, honestly. So whether I go and get one now or not, I'm looking at houses. I've opened up my options for houses. I still want to be patient. I'm still telling myself just be patient. While I want one and I want a house, like I think there are some amazing opportunities coming up. And even if we don't get the opportunities I think we're going to get, I don't think they're going to be worse than they are now. So I don't think it's going to be like I'm missing out on this opportunity now. So I'm okay with waiting. But yeah, my cousin had an early Cybertruck order and canceled because it was taking too long. Dude, it was $100. What, like, you literally just threw away the $100, like whatever. That is what it is. But like, what does it matter? Like, who cares how long it takes? It's not like it's not like you have to do anything while you're waiting. I don't understand. I don't understand that move at all. Like, so what? It's taking longer than expected. Sure, it sucks. Everybody wants it, but yeah. You moved up one spot. So did I. That's awesome. Thanks. I thank your cousin for that one. We all moved up one spot. Just Google it. Apparently, one can order a semi with up to 5K up front and then a 15K lock in. Oh, okay. You know what, Raymond? I bet you that's just like the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck has its own website as well. So you're right. I bet you it's that way. So I apologize, Raymond. I didn't even think about that. But I'm surprised that Tesla just doesn't have it on their full website. Maybe it's just because it's not fully released yet. I wonder if that's all. But yeah, 5,000 up front, 15 to lock in the order. That sounds very similar to the Roadster. Siddhartha, do you think the 146 gap will still be filled? Yes, I do. I do think that's going to get filled. I still have on my radar the 114 gap. I can't rule it out. It's just it would be ignorant for me to fully rule out that 114 gap fill. But at this point here, I think the 146 is definitely going to get filled. And for me, it's going to end up being like that 244 gap on the way down. That will be one of the levels that I put a little bit more money into, just at a larger amount. I'll still monitor as we get closer to it to see how much I want to put in. But at that level, I'm also going to increase my daily additions. So I'll go from where I'm at $20 now up to $25 a day at that level and just be able to add more and bring my cost basis down. What will it take to fill 146? At this point, since we're basically looking like we're starting an upward trend, in order for us to fill that 146 gap, we've got to create a new downward trend. And the downward trend is most likely going to be created from the macro environment. It's not going to be anything Tesla specific, although just like last year, anything that comes out Tesla specific negative news will be spread like wildfire and FUD, and everybody will lose their minds because we saw how emotionally people reacted last year. We're going to see the exact same thing happen again at that point. People will go mad. They're going to start selling their stock. Um, and it's going to make the situation worse, but it's really truly going to be driven by the macro. It will take a major event to go back to 146, serious recession or Taiwan conflict. That could happen, a Taiwan conflict. I mean, think about every single major catalyst that we have had that has moved the stock either up or down. It hasn't been something that we've had be anticipated. It's always been a surprise event, something that was totally unexpected, that has caused what happened to happen. So yeah, that's it. Tesla is investment grade now. Those lower gaps might not get filled. They still would, because don't forget, when people bought in for the institutions, there was a lot of institutional buying going in at the end of last year, but that was before they got the Moody's upgrade to investment grade. Then we saw a lot more buying coming in again in May for institutions. So, still, institutions are not dumping a lot of their money in. They're still doing the little bits, but they are buying. They certainly are buying, and they're buying heavier than they were previously. But there's still a lot of money that they're sitting on. But at the same time, knowing how the market moves, that might be one of those things where they've put their money in. We may see institutions in the next few months moving out. Like when we start to anticipate potential earnings recessions, that may be the point where they move money out. When they start moving money out, they've got that money that they had bought back in when they were around $100. We saw heavy buying going in between 100 and 120. At that level there, I don't know if we're going to get below that. So these institutions who are buying in around the 150 to $200 level might sell out some of those positions to take those profits, and then kind of let the stock settle and then buy back in at the lower level. So we might end up getting it strictly for that reason. Lou, Model Y got named the best selling car, not only EV, but car in the world. Does not surprise me. Elon said it was going to happen. And as of right now, they are on pace to become the best selling car in the world uh, for this entire year. Yeah. So it's going to supplant the Toyota Corolla. And yeah, it's happening. It's happening, folks. It is, and it's awesome to see it happening. And I'm glad I'm here to enjoy it with you guys. Do you think gas and oil will really start fighting now that it's so clear what's happening? Tesla is now the gas stations for the US. They'll fight, but I think a lot of the fight that we saw happening has already happened. There's still going to be battles along the way, of course, but I think they've already seen the writing on the wall. So I think that massive push that we saw over the last year or so was them recognizing, hey, this is our last chance to make some massive profits. We're going to need to take this cash and invest it elsewhere because our time is basically done. Obviously, oil companies are not going away anytime soon, and they're not going away entirely. There's always going to be a place for them, but the control and amount of money that they had may not be the same as it was before. So they wanted to get everything that they could, and they're going to start investing elsewhere. So the battles we'll see happening, but it's pretty much a sure bet that it's going to be over for them. Melissa, hey, you made it on tonight. Sorry, I forgot to send you a text and remind you. That's my fault. I apologize. But you made it on, so that's all that matters. Let's see here. Which is more likely, but guess as of now, Tesla price to hit 350 or down to 146. Yeah, and as somebody had mentioned over on Twitter, with the news coming next week, we realistically have a chance to either go back down to 200 or go up to 300. Really kind of depends on how the market reacts to the FOMC meeting. So, Raymond, this is awesome. I track my weekdays by when Tim hosts an event. And I know I wasn't consistent, Raymond, so I know the last couple of weeks must have been rough for you. So I'm sorry. I will get back on track and definitely be more consistent with it so that you know what day of the week it is. You guys are the best. Oh man. Actually, let me see if I can do this. Teslas. Um, nope, that's not it. Mm. Ah, there it is. Thank you, Raymond. And I got it up now. Let me share this with you. There we go. Here's the semi-ordering page. Yep. It's a beast. No kidding. Past performance. So it shows everything here. And here's like the basic specs of it that we knew, but it hasn't changed. There's just the updates. Um, all right. So there's all of that. Mm, I don't see. If I can order, I don't see the ordering on here, but either way, the page is up. Actually, you know what? I'm curious. Do they have the Cybertruck in here? Powerwall existing charging support more Cybertruck. I was hoping maybe they would have an update on the Cybertruck that maybe I hadn't seen yet, but I'm sure if it was up, somebody would have pointed it out over on Twitter, but it's definitely no update yet. So, oh well. Still looking forward to it. Still very much excited about that coming out. Yes, more likes, please. Like. Appreciate that. Summer and I work myself so I can forget what day it is easily. You know, Melissa, honestly, forgetting about the fact that time exists, something I look forward to being able to do is forgetting that time exists and just live my life however I want to, time free. I think Cybertruck Fever will keep the stock above 200s maybe forever. I mean, it's possible, but again, just um, sorry, I just got a text coming in from my ex-wife, so I got to message her back after this. It's about the game tomorrow, but sorry, rambling on. So yeah, so I, like again, the macro is still going to be strong. Um, I would love to say that that's going to happen, and the Cybertruck Fever will keep it above 200s, but don't forget when the Cybertruck comes out, the ramp is going to be stupid slow. We already anticipate this, but remember what happened with Berlin and Austin. They already told us that the ramp was going to be slow there because it's a new type of build, new factory that they're working out, and it was very slow, but we still got a ton of FUD about that. We got so much grief about how slow the ramp was going. Think about how much the stock got pummeled in 2022 with that being a lot of it. And now look at where we're at. We hit exactly what we anticipated, that big exponential growth curve when it came to the ramp rates on them, and now they're taking off. So same thing could potentially happen with the Cybertruck. It's going to come out, and people are like, "Well, why aren't there so many of them? Why are they producing them so slow? Why is it taking so long? What's the delay on them?" We could get a lot of that for 6 to 12 months, and then all of a sudden they're going to hit that massive exponential growth curve when it comes to the ramping of it, and then we'll be fine. But those growing pains in the beginning could potentially be FUD that brings the stock down. Because when people have a fever, but you ain't got the cure for that fever, that's the problem. Was an exciting week for Tesla. Wondering what Monday holds for us. CPI and Fed meeting on deck. Yeah, that's the thing I'm concerned about is going into Monday and the uncertainty behind it, or it could be we're running up into it and then we get to sell the new situation because everybody's expecting that inflation is going to be coming down and in line. Everybody's expecting the Fed to be pausing, and then we get okay, we got the news that we were expecting. Now we sell off. Could totally happen. I'm hoping other EV charging companies stay in business so the government won't say Tesla has a monopoly. Yeah, EV Go took a beating today after GM had announced it, but it sucks. The government had announced that Tesla could be getting billions of dollars from them if they choose to go with the CCS charging adapters at the stations, and it's like it's not fair to make Tesla put them all up for obsolete vehicles. Make the vehicles provide the chargers and the adapters themselves. Don't put it on Tesla because if all of the vehicles going forward are going to be made to work with the Tesla charging stations, then Tesla shouldn't be required to provide stuff that's not going to be needed in the future. It's stupid. I don't agree with it. But Tesla's most likely going to do it because it'll be passing up on billions of dollars when they only have to spend millions to make it happen. Let me see. Da, da, da. Yeah, you're right, Money. Other car companies are now bound to jump on the NACS train. Very exciting. Absolutely. And again, as I had mentioned it yesterday, you look at like iPhone and Android, and in Europe, I believe, and those of you who are in Europe can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Europe passed a law, and they had to change all the chargers over, so all of them had to be able to run on the same charging connector. So again, correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe that's what they ended up doing. And same thing here in the US. It's so stupid that it's like, hey, Apple has the Lightning charger, and then everything else runs on a micro USB, or USB C now, which is what Apple has. And it's like, there's no reason it couldn't be the same. And now Tesla's making that happen, and everything seems to be going that direction where it's going to have the same charging port. Bank of Canada 2 days ago changed tack and announced a 25. Oh, they did do. Oh, after flat for last, so they did do a 25 basis point hike. Interesting. Hmm. And I know there's been like there was one brief talk about the fact that the Fed might do an interest rate hike of 25 basis points, but it was like gone like a fart in the wind. And like I haven't heard anything about that since, and that was it. So, if they come out and shock us with a 25 basis point hike, you can most certainly bet that we're going to drop back down to $200. Like, I hate to say it, but that's just the reality of the shock we would be feeling if they ended up doing that. Yeah, other EV companies can just use the NACS plugs. I agree. But unfortunately, the government is so old school, they don't understand this. And not only that, but there's not even that many vehicles out there that don't have it. So just deal with it. Like, put it on them to figure it out. I believe Europe is CCS2 standard. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. Um, but as long as I guess realistically, continentally, if the continent is all using the same charger, that makes the most sense. Regardless of which one it's going to be. Obviously, you want the better one to be there. But if everybody's using the same one, it's just more efficient, less confusing. It's just nicer and easier to deal with. Let's see what else we got going on here. Smoke here today actually hasn't been that bad. The forecast was blowing it further south. We I think have some more coming in on Sunday, just because I think the way it's circulating back up. But today, like the sun came out, no smoke smell. It was nice here, and hopefully we got a few showers here. Hopefully they can get some rain up in Canada and help with those fires and put those out. Um, that would be nice. What's the point of a pause if they're going to kick a 50 basis point rate in July? Oh, just out of curiosity, what makes you believe that they would be putting up a 50 basis point hike in July? I believe at this point, the Fed basically alluded at the last meeting saying that they didn't anticipate any more rate hikes for the rest of the year. So I'm just curious where you would come up with the 50 basis point hike in July. Because if they do, that would destroy the market. That would be the nail in the coffin, and that would be the start of the downfall for everything. But typically, historically, it's the pivot that actually causes. Well, it's not the pivot that causes it, but it's something in the rate hikes that cause the market to go to where they want it to go, and that would cause it to come down. So the market would end up coming down, and then the Fed has to pivot to kind of do that, but it takes 6 months lag to turn around. You really think inflation is going to go up? Actually, you know what? Let me check this. Now that we are talking about it, let me go and find out what is it here? Nope. I am going to check to see what the where are we at? Wow, so many windows open here. Sorry about that. Investing. CPI. What are the forecasts for CPI and PPI for next week? Let me get this up for you guys here. So we are looking at. Come on, get out of here, stupid pop-ups. So we're looking at no forecast yet. So we'll get that forecast on Monday most likely. So we were at 4.9% previously. Now, reminder that the thoughts in a lot of people's minds, and my own as well, were that the Fed wanted to get the interest rates above the inflation. And right now we're basically there. We're pretty much even. So if the inflation comes down to, let's say, 4.7%, then I think the Fed will end up doing the pause because they'll feel comfortable enough that where they're at and the fact that there are still interest rate hikes that have not really taken effect yet are going to be strong enough to continue pushing the inflation down. That's my thought on this. So I will have to wait, and I will check with you guys on Monday to see what the forecast looks like. I'm actually curious as to what the month over month is, because month over month at this point is really more important because oh, we do have the forecast for that too. Okay, so forecast is 0.3%. So you annualize that, and you're looking at why did I just completely lose my mind? 3.6% inflation. So that's still pretty high. 3.6. So we want that to come down more to a 0.2%. That gets us to a 2.4%. That's realistically more where we want to be. So, to your point, maybe the inflation being at levels like this could be a reason why the Fed wants it to come down. But when we're looking at, let me see, uh, core, because the core is what the Fed says that they can control. And so if what they can control is not coming down, because that's at 5.5%, so that's still above where the interest rates are. So I'm glad you brought this up because now we can do a little research on this. Um, get the heck out of here. Um, core CPI month. And so core month over month, let's see if that forecast is up. Yep, that's up at 0.4%. So, okay, to validate your point, to your point, perhaps inflation levels looking at it like that. And I know the Fed truly actually likes to use the PCE more so than the CPI. But to your point, perhaps that is a valid point. We will have to wait and see how that plays out, but that that could be it. So let me see what PPI is looking like. And PPI has typically been a leading indicator because that's what the producers pay. So 0.2% here is fine. So that's in line. So, we will it will definitely be interesting, but the Fed may make a decision that causes the market to cry a little bit. Melissa, so my son has an official portfolio that is awesome. Gave him $3,000 to buy stuff. He has $500 of his money in. First, he was up $100. That's a great way to start. Got to see some wild movements so far. Of all the times to get into the market, this is the time. Yes, it's going to be wild, but he's going to gain a lot of wisdom during some of the most difficult times. And having your money in the market during times where we're this beat up, and obviously we were more beat up within the last 6 to 12 months, but with it potentially coming up again, that's it's going to be a very good experience for him. So I think that's wonderful, Melissa. Trueflation is at 2.94%. Yeah, there's so many different things to look at too. So yeah, you're most welcome, and I appreciate the info and the feedback on that because I like to look at all different perspectives, and you're right. When you start looking at data like that, it's definitely a potential. So thank you. Mostly looking at second mortgage. Yeah, so that's the thing too. Is like I was looking at houses and dang, the housing prices are still so high. Like looking at houses that normally would be like 225, 250, or like 325 and 350. I'm like, damn, man. It's like that's so hard to justify going out and buying with, especially like a 6 to 7% interest rate. Like when I bought my house the first time, and it was so you know what? Huh. Looking at the housing market alone, when we bought our house in, gosh, what was it, 2004, 2005? Wow, such a long time ago. I can't remember. But the interest rate at that point was 6.25%. And we remortgaged a couple years later and brought it down to like, I want to say it's like just under 5 or just under 6, I mean. So it was around the same. We refinanced, and the reason we did it wasn't to save money as much, but we did it because initially she wasn't on the loan, so we refinanced to get her name on the loan. Um, so we did all of that, and that was right before the housing market crashed. So does that mean right now we're going to see the same? Who knows? I mean, you go back to the early 80s and interest rates on houses were like 13%. It was bonkers. But, huh, I wonder if maybe this is kind of a little bit of an indicator that the housing market pop is coming soon. I mean, there's a lot of things that are indicating it, but I think Tesla energy revenue will become bigger and bigger profit maker over a few quarters. The street will notice and get reflected in the stock price. Yes and no. I think it will, but because of the fact that energy revenue is still dwarfed by EV revenue, it's not going to be making a major impact. And because of the fact that EV revenue is still growing exponentially, the amount that energy revenue is going to have to grow just to actually make an impact over EVs is going to take a couple of years. I think we will get there, but I think it's going to take a couple of years to get there. And there's some other major things. Think about it this way. Look at what Elon is doing with Starlink. Where is he putting up Starlink? Starlink is focusing on countries that don't have access to the grid, don't have access to internet. We've got Peru, we've got Brazil. These areas are also countries that are ripe to have energy coming in there. So if Elon is just planting the seed with Starlink in many of these places, just wait until we start getting into those countries with Tesla energy. That is when you're really going to see the energy revenues taking off. When you get into countries like that, India is going to be a big one too. India definitely could use a lot of help with energy. So when we start getting in there with the energy in India, that is going to be a massive impact. And that's why you see Tesla looking at these countries like that, because there's not just EVs that they can work with over there. You put a vehicle that requires an infrastructure that doesn't exist, then you provide the infrastructure. Thinking about, you go back to the early 1900s, the way a lot of these big companies, and they did it in a dirty way in some cases, they created what they thought was going to be something better for humanity. In many cases, it was. It moved us to the next step. But along the way, it created other problems. Totally natural. But what they found out was, instead of solving those problems, if they just created a band-aid solution to those problems, they could make money on both ends of the coin, on both sides of the coin. They could come out here and they've like, hey, we've got this awesome thing that's going to help us be better in the future. And we noticed that we created a problem with that, but here's the solution to that problem. So we're going to create a problem and make money on creating that problem, and we're going to make money on solving that problem. The difference is, when it comes to Tesla, is the problem that they're creating is moving the world forward with EVs, which is a good thing, but you just need the infrastructure behind it, which they don't have. Tesla will provide that solution as well. So it's not creating a problem that's going to be harming people. Both the problem of the moving us forward isn't a harm to human life. It's really just an inconvenience and an inability for them to actually move forward. So hopefully you guys understood where I was going with that. But that, I think, is what Tesla is doing when it comes to this. And this is why they're going to be so massively profitable in the world, is because of the fact that they're going to be creating a great solution to a problem that doesn't even exist in many places. And then they're going to create the solution to that as well, and just make these countries even more better off than they were before. So they're going to end up turning third world countries into countries that aren't third world countries. And I think that's awesome. At least that's how I envision it in my mind. But you can't get a parking space for $250,000 in Boston. My buddy was just telling me that rent in Manhattan, I think he said it was like a one bedroom was like $3,000 to $4,000 a month. I'm like, wow, forget that. I was listening to Alexandra Boomer Mama today. She said investors have trillions sitting on the sideline in short-term bonds and T-bills. Maybe some of this can hit the market in equity shares. See, that's what I was talking about right there. So short-term bonds and T-bills, just like what I'm doing. You know, I tell you guys I've got it in short-term CDs. I'm just rolling it month to month. I don't know what's going to happen, but at least I know I'm making my money there and it's not going to lose anything. So if the market collapses, I've still got my money. We're good. And if the market collapses, just like if you're all in the stock market, and I went through this for the first 2 years I was investing, when you're all in the stock market and everything pulls back, you don't have any free cash available to take advantage of those pullbacks. And you kick yourself, and then you start getting emotionally invested, and then you're like, oh well, I'm going to take a loss on this just so I can put it over here and hope that it goes up, and then it goes down more, and then you sell it for more of a loss, and you're just losing your money. So by putting it into CDs, T-bills, short-term bonds, they have this money secured. So when we get those massive buying opportunities, they can then put the money in. So that just supports my thesis behind the fact that a lot of these people are anticipating a major pullback coming, and they just want to be ready for it. And that's where I'm at as well. Uh, Marty, disagree. Mega packs just have to ramp. Doesn't matter which countries buy the packs. Richer countries will gobble them up first. You're not wrong, Marty. I agree with you. I agree that they are going to be taking off and mega packs are going to be ramping up. But even Elon said they're not going to be ramped for 12 months. So even the mega packs in Shanghai and Lathrop aren't going to be fully ramped until 2024. So we still have time before that ends up happening. So I think it's still going to be at least a year before we see energy revenues really making a major impact that could be seen by Wall Street. And again, I think there's going to be some wise Wall Street analysts that are out there that are going to recognize what's happening, but you have to remember that most of the Wall Street only looks out 12 months. And if the mega pack revenue coming in isn't going to be making a significant impact on um, on the revenue and the bottom line within the next 12 months, it's not going to affect the stock price. Hey, Lang, what's going on? Alexandra also pointed out Philip Morris Tobacco Company and Exxon rated much higher than Tesla and ESG score. Oh, yeah. It is useless criteria. I saw them talking about that the other day about ESG. It's a joke. ESG is a horrible joke. I don't even pay attention to it. But the fact that there's ESG ETFs that are out there that institutions are required to get into or invest in, stupid, absolutely stupid. Hopefully it goes away. But yeah, like how could we possibly have companies that are selling products that we know cause cancer, have warnings on their packages of their products that tell you that this is going to kill you and that somehow is better for you than Tesla's? Don't get it. Stupid. Absolutely stupid. Jose, I live in Orange County, California. Oh yeah, yeah. California is stupid high. My buddy who lives in San Francisco was like $5,000 a month for rent. It's just ridiculous. Elon also said Megapack margin is 10% and still target 25% when totally ramped. Not like some Tesla bulls said about 50%. So over on Twitter, Elon, talking about the charging stations, Elon reiterated about 30% margins are going to get on the charging. So energy, yeah, 25%. And again, that's fully ramped. So we still have about a year before they get fully ramped. So energy is coming, no doubt whatsoever. Energy is coming, and energy will end up becoming, in my opinion, bigger than EVs. It's just going to take some time. But again, that's just a new S curve that is just starting for Tesla. So for long-term investors, you start looking out at the potentials of what we have coming. Yeah, exciting times. Exciting times for sure. Yeah, unless I know $5,000 in rent. Like I was mad when mine went up to 950. Like what? Yeah, 5,000, forget that. But then again, I mean, you think about where they're living, and if you're in San Francisco, chances are you're most likely have a roommate. And my buddy makes bank. Like I don't know what money he makes, but like when I asked him if he wanted to go on a cruise with me, it wasn't even like let me check my finances. It was like, oh yeah, let me just grab my pocket change and we'll go. So totally different world out there when you start looking at cost of living. But that's why one of the tricks that a lot of people use is they work in a higher end area to make more money, but then you live in a lower end area because you have an opportunity to actually save up money and do it that way. So that's not always the case in everywhere where you go, but that's a little trick that some people use. If any of you are out there looking at any sort of tricks to be able to get yourself saving some money. Oh dear. All right. Been on for about an hour. I do have to go tomorrow, but oh, Karav just hopped on. I'm not going now. Karav, what's going on, my friend? Happy Friday. Right. Lots of San Francisco's live rent free on the streets. Oh my god, that's so sad, but you're so right. And what the silly part about it is like their politicians don't see that as a problem. Like they see it as a problem and they use it as a, oh, we're going to fix this problem. And I'm like, you say you're going to fix the problem, but your actions tell me something totally different because it just keeps on getting worse. Yeah, Karav, everyone's in a great mood with the way the stock has been going. Absolutely. Oh man, it has been a nice run. It's been a long time coming. For sure, it's been a long time. Literally a year. It's been over a year. It's been. So very, very nice to see this finally going to where we want it to go. Oh, sorry for the yawning. It's been a week. Let me see. When do you think Tesla will be at all-time high again? So I've got two thought processes on this. All-time highs is 409. And looking at what Adam and I looked at, when we have the Fed pause, we have seen the market go to all-time highs. I don't know if Tesla will get to all-time highs before we get the pullback. Um, so my two thoughts on this are either we're going to see all-time highs probably around October. If we don't see it in October, we'll probably see it in early 2025. That's my thought process on that. So it's one of the two. So it's not even a question of if we will get back to all-time highs. We will. It's just a matter of when. So yes, your question, when will it be there? I think either October of this year or we'll see it beginning of 2025. Karav with some great info. Some info. Model 3 production at Giga Shanghai is still going on, but it seems they are producing test Highland vehicles as well. Ooh, that is good info. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Highland's coming out, and that's kind of like where I'm at. I was like, do I just wait for a Highland? So many options for me. Honestly, being patient for me has been paying off. So I have no problems being patient. You think it could go to all-time high and then back to 146? Wow. Yeah. Again, look at what we saw. It's possible. Everything is possible. Look at what happened when COVID hit. Think about all of the black swan events, which black swan events are like, you know, completely rare, very, very one-off situations. And we got like one a week last year. Then you start looking at the fact that how many once in a lifetime, things have come up for our lifetime in the last decade. Like it's ridiculous. We joke about millennials and it's like, they've gone through, 7 pandemics and world ending events and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, everything is possible. So whether I think it can or not, I have to reasonably keep it on my radar as a possibility. Yeah, I don't like black swans either. I like rainbow ducks. Rainbow ducks are what we're going to call good positive events. Rainbow ducks. That's what we're doing. I want rainbow duck events. Oh, what else we got going on here? I'll hang out for a little while longer with you guys because you're awesome and it's a great week and totally worth hanging out with you guys. Some bad news. Hey, not bad to say it. Norway, Sweden, Netherlands, Denmark seem to be struggling for the final month. So one thing to point out too about Norway, Karav, is, and this is one of my thoughts, is once Tesla's really taken over, obviously they're massive in Norway. It's like when do you hit the saturation point? That to me is a question of some of these areas who have really done the adoption. They've adopted EVs. It hasn't even been a question. They're selling them like crazy. When do they hit that saturation point, which is basically the top of the S curve for them? And perhaps that's just where they're at. So the struggle for the final month, maybe it's just because they're near the top of their S curve in those areas. What is their EV adoption rate over there in those countries? Obviously, Norway is in the 90% range. So if that's the case, what are those other countries as well? And those are the numbers I'd like to see to put it into perspective of, are they actually struggling, or is it just that, they've hit that point where they're at the top of the S curve? Yeah, pricing of the new Model 3 will definitely be interesting, that Highland, because the rumor about the whole Highland was the fact that it was supposed to be more cost effective and it was going to be less money to build. So if that's the case, does that mean that we're either going to see? I think at that point, that is really just going to give Tesla even bigger um, margin buffers. So if that's the case, then they're going to have. I'm totally losing track of the terminology I want to be using here, but pricing power. So that could give Tesla even more pricing power and a larger buffer on margins. So that means that Tesla has even more leeway when it comes to pricing and say, hey, if demand is coming down, we can just bring our prices down because now our margins are even higher. But do we have to bring prices down because, we're still selling every vehicle that we're making and now we're just making more money on top of it. So it'll be interesting to see when that comes out. When's Tesla's next earnings? Not far away. End of July. I will get a specific date for you guys. Actually, let me see if I can pop up the calendar here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Nah, I'll find it out later. Last year was like July 25th or 26th, so it's usually that Wednesday of that the Wednesday of that week, that month. So uh, maybe they need more boats to arrive. The great thing about it, though, Marty, is noticing that less and less boats have to come out. Which, when you're looking at it from an operational perspective, that is less money that they're spending on logistics because Berlin is supplying even more of the vehicles than needed. So operationally, and their operational margins can be higher because they don't have to spend as much money. That's exactly why they open up all these factories in different locations, is to save on that money. I'm burnt out. Listen, I was burnt out for a lot this year. That's why I was very inconsistent for a while. Getting better in my job this week was very up and down with stress. Ended on a very good note, but definitely wore on me quite a bit. So burning out for sure. But got the weekend coming up. The next couple of weekends are busy for me. Got the Yankee game tomorrow, hanging out with my family, which is going to be awesome for sure. So I got to get my stuff done for me in the morning tomorrow. It's gonna be a late night tomorrow night with the Yankee game. And then next weekend, I've got an event to go to where I'm finally going to get all of this gone. But doing the go bald for a brother for our coworker who we got to see today. He's doing great. If the levels are looking good. He's looking like himself again, which is amazing. Absolutely love seeing that. So we've got the event next weekend for him. The day after that, it's Father's Day, and I'm running my race, first race in 3.5 years. So that'll be exciting. I get to run the race, and then I do have the day off after that. So I'll have a little bit of recovery time there. But yeah, definitely feeling it. Not to worry though. I've increased my China estimate. Hello Europe. Still love the chance of 450K. Yeah, 450K is all good. Highland may still need time to ramp. It also has a possibility of costlier hardware for sure, Raymond. But don't know how much more that's actually going to be. Plus, because of the way they're going to build it, they are most likely, without a doubt, going to be saving more than that much money, and the rest of the build and efficiency on it. So it'll be, I have no doubt, a wash. Don't forget to call your ex-wife back. Yes, she and I are in very good terms. So I'm very I'm very grateful to have her as an ex-wife. We have open communication, very good. Our son's doing great, so cannot complain in that department at all. Boo Yankees, go Sox, and they are playing the Red Sox tomorrow. So it's that's exactly why the timing of my kids like, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta take Grandpa to go watch it because we're all Yankees fans, and watching them against the Red Sox is just gonna be great. So Tesla fire. Thanks, Tim, for teaching us others Tesla and who Elon Musk is. You're most welcome, Kenneth. I appreciate that. And honestly, when I started this channel, it wasn't about Tesla. It was about investing in everything in life. Tesla took off, and I learned along with you guys. You guys taught me a lot of what I know about Elon and Tesla. So I appreciate everything you guys have taught me as well. So So it's mutual feeling as well, Kenneth. So thank you. Had some rest this weekend. I'll have fun tomorrow. I will have fun for sure. I'm going to get some rest also. And I think on that note, I am going to head out, folks. My voice is starting to go. I need to get some sleep. You guys are awesome. Again, amazing weekend, Tesla. Absolutely loved it. Great news, great stock movement. Keeping the positivity going. Really looking forward to seeing where we're going to go in the future. And man, I cannot wait to be having these conversations with you guys 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and see where we've all come from then. It's going to be an awesome, awesome ride. So thank you guys all. And I'll be chatting with you guys all next week as well. Same schedule as usual, videos all week, Tuesday, Friday live streams. We'll catch you guys later. Thanks.